Hello, Utah fans and film fanatics. It's Elijah coming at you again from the last day of the Utah International Film Festival. We're continuing our series and reviewing filmmakers. Right now, we have Derek Romrell, who made Lone Mountain. Please tell us a bit about the story.
Yeah, Lone Mountain is a period piece. It's about a prospector who's coming home from the gold rush. And while he's trying to get home, he inadvertently finds himself caught in a time loop.
Oh, that is a really cool premise. And in terms of the time loop, is it like a matter of minutes? Like what days? How does that work?
So how the time loop works is that the first time our main character Jedediah enters into these woods following a smoke trail to get home, at the end of the day, he finds a campsite just perfectly set up. Doesn't know who it belongs to. There's no one that seems to be there. He stays the night, leaves, tries to find his way home, but he just ends up wandering right back into the same campsite.
That's awesome.
Gets more interesting from there.
I think I know where that element is going, and I love that. I'm not going to guess, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I think that's such a fun way to do that. And also, I believe I'd heard that it was shot around Glacier.
Yeah, it was shot around Glacier National Park, and we shot it on 16 millimeter Kodak film stock.
Oh, awesome! Keeping it like really gritty,
right? Very gritty, very real. Kind of harkens back to the dramas and stuff of the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So our director Tanner Browning was so insistent on shooting on real film stock, and I kept trying to say, well, we could do emulation. It's very convincing now, but he was convinced and created just a really wonderful, sacred experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Through and through. Speaking of just the actual creation of it, what was pre-production like?
So pre-production was a little bit over the course of years. So Tanner Browning, he approached me with the idea a few years back. He'd been developing it on and off for 3 or 4 years. And we decided to team up with a local production company in Montana. They were named Nova Vento. And so we got insider access into some of the local resources in that area of Montana. Polson is kind of near where we were. And so it really helped streamline the process. And we also got some great Montana crew because of that.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, just the scenery itself, because that area is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason that Tanner wanted to shoot there. He specifically wrote Mission Mountains in the scene heading of the script. And so he applied for Montana filmmaking grant there, got one for a short film, and we talked, and I was like, well, I actually have family that lives in the area, so it'd be a great place for home base along with this company. So
I love how those, kind of small, like just random synchronicities happen. I'm hearing about that so much on every interview that I'm doing. And I think it's just part of the magic of the filmmaking itself. And I think also just being in some of the indie spaces, we're a bit more reliant on it, yet it always kind of seems to come through.
Oh yeah, it's kind of the whether you want to call it the divine or the universe. It's when all those elements kind of come together in synchronicity that it's like, oh, this was meant to be.
Right? Exactly. And it's like, cool. Now like, thank you. And now I get to share this awesome story. And this one sounds really, really fun. Like just what a kind of a beefy topic that I think I bet everyone involved in the cast and crew could chew on, and especially us as audience members as well, getting to see it. So when you were actually shooting it, what were some of the like fun experiences or some of the crazy things maybe that had happened?
I talked with Warren about this earlier, but the first thing was just bears in general. Montana's bear country, so we had a black bear wander into our set, and that was scary. That was we didn't know if it was going to try and kill the director or not, but luckily it was just a juvenile, so just straight up a tree. We had another instance where a drunken woman almost crashed into our grip truck.
Whoa.
And that ended in a high-speed chase with the state police.
Wow. You're like, I went to rural Montana and saw a high-speed chase.
Yeah, it was wild. She would have gotten away with it too had she not returned to flip off the crew in another car.
Wow.
And at that point, the police were informed, oh, that's her. And they boom.
So without the mystery machine, they're able.
Yeah, no, she totally revealed that mystery machine. And so, yeah, that, and also just the experience of shooting in some really gorgeous local spots. So one of the staples of the film as this cabin that's just isolated in the middle of a field. We didn't do any VFX for the background or anything. It's just literally the Mission Mountains or the backdrop of this isolated cabin, nothing around it. And we had some local help to help us source where that was and to get permissions from the owners to shoot there. And so it was just a delightful experience working with Montana locals in a relatively untouched area of the world.
Yes, I love that. Awesome. And then getting to highlight it for those of us, like myself, I glamp these days. So getting to experience it from the comfort of our seat is really great.
Yeah, that's good on you.
The post-production on that, how long did that run, and what was that experience like?
So we stopped shooting, or we wrapped principal, I think it was last October. So not October 2024 or 2023. And so then we had a few change of hands with editors and some post-production supervisors. And so it was like over the course of a year. But the beauty of that was we were able to do a test screening of the short film for about 20 or so people. We just got some really insightful feedback that allowed us to make some changes to make the story a little more comprehensible, because we're dealing with time loops and, very heady material is within that space pretty often. So having the opportunity to take the time for audience understanding and to make any tweaks in VFX or color to help people get the points more was just invaluable.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
because I imagine it's probably cuts into it when it is on film in terms of finding editors and folks who can really deliver what you're looking for.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it was great. We found our editor. His name's Eddie, just online. I think he just messaged Tanner and was like, I want to be part of it. Yeah, Eddie the editor. Eddie Spaghetti is his Instagram.
I love that.
But yeah, and I think what's cool about film is if you get a really high quality scan, we didn't actually cut the film. We just high quality scanned it.
Sure, yeah.
But what's cool about shooting on film is it has such rich texture and also leeway. So even our VFX artist, Ben Ames, who was working on it, was just saying, man, I love working with this stuff because it's not just like necessarily a flat image like you'd think it would. It actually has some push and pull and, playing with the grain. And our colorist, Ricky Watanabe, just did an excellent job figuring out a color grade and working with the film while, making it washable for modern audiences, but also respecting the, there's kind of a flatness.
Yes.
To 16 millimeter film that you have to respect.
I love that. Yep, exactly. I think in any art form, those who are kind of coming in and being, lucky enough to participate in the modern element of it, you always got to recognize the history and, those that had come before and what you're built on. So shooting on 16 millimeters, really, really cool.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing. That's why I would say everybody should try doing it once, because there is now a limited resource. So like with digital, I mean, it's just however many memory cards you can stuff in your backpack or SDs, whatever. But like the cool thing about shooting on film, and in our case, it was kind of forced to be appreciated because we didn't get half of the film rolls delivered to us that we were supposed to have.
Oh, wow.
So we were really limited. And so that forced us to frankly treat it like a play. It's like, nope, we're not shooting the rehearsal. We're going to get the actor's motivation down. We're going to make sure Dave Martinez, who is our lead, is comfortable in his role. We're going to make sure the blocking's good. And it brought back that kind of almost sacred feel to filmmaking, that it was like, well, we can't afford to get this wrong because there's no other option.
Exactly.
And so it's just a really cool opportunity, like you're bringing up, to kind of go back to your roots and respect what was. And so I'd recommend everyone do it at least once.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a lot. Maybe not once. Yeah, maybe not twice. Depending on what you want to do with emulation and like your reasons, but like it's a great experience. And then I think you need to decide whether it's worth, like, especially if you're a low budget indie filmmaker, if it's worth the money and if it's worth the time. Because, it's like we had to increase the ISO on our film. And so we had to expose the film reel to increase the ISO. It's not just pressing a button.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is so cool. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I think one of my favorite shots that I saw from the stills, and this is going to sound weird because Dave is, I consider him a good friend of mine, and he's a handsome guy.
Oh yes.
But there was so much character in the still that I saw where he's standing at a low riverbank and the mountains are so, high, and it's just, of course he's in his period attire, but I mean, that still just says so much about it all. And to have it again, like it shows through on that film.
Yep.
Like with it being on the film. So I think, as a matter of fact, what was the post-production, like the overall, when you're getting in, because again, you're right, it's not a color correction tune or anything that you have like a slider right on it when you're doing that. So is there anything else you want to highlight on that post-production process?
Yeah, I think just that the post-production process was just especially valuable. I mean, you talk about the aesthetic. One of the things that we were focused on too is trying to be authentic to not only the period with wardrobe and stuff, but also just like to the feel.
Yes.
And so you see a lot of Westerns these days, which it's great. They're very high action oriented. They're, crystal clear focus, shoot 'em up, whatever. And we were trying to think, well, if we're going back to kind of, I think the 70s was such a great time for just like thinky films.
Yes.
It was like sci-fi kind of had a huge renaissance in that era. And so we wanted to channel into that with the story and to let the aesthetic lend into that. So instead of having, like bright poppy colors, there's just, I mean, you just mentioned it. There's just like this different vibe that you get from, you see Dave in front of, Lone Mountain, and, with the colors and the film grain and everything coming together, just like creates kind of that desired meditative experience we were wanting. So it was important for us in post to capture that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think also the fact that Dave was on that, I mean, of course he's doing everything, but the meditative element of it, I mean, Dave is perfectly cast in that kind of a fit.
Elements basic to most traditional.
Thank you, Shane. So
Thank the commentary.
Exactly. But so I think that is just again, I've been describing it as magic, but there are those elements that are coming together, and to have all the crew and cast that you've highlighted, having Dave on, and having this vision it went from 4 to 5 years pre-production, and now having it premiere here at the Utah International Film Festival. What has the experience been like?
What's the experience been like kind of being back?
Just having it here. Exactly. Yeah.
I really love the Utah International Film Festival because it's a wonderful opportunity to get into the heart of Utah filmmaking.
Yes.
Because you have some really fantastic festivals around here. I mean, obviously, Sundance is like the big one we're known for, but even Sundance doesn't really have a lot of local flair because, it's worldwide competition. And with UIFF, I feel like while it is open to so many people as an international film festival, it just really captures, I think, the spirit of independent filmmaking currently occurring in Utah. And really just since attending from last year, literally everything has elevated here from, the screenings and the venue. It's just been a downright pleasant time, and awesome. we're just tickled to return.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. And we're of course thrilled to have you here again. So, well, awesome. This has been a really, really great conversation. I was anticipating that it would be. Thank you so much, of course, for your time today. Last thing, just if there's anything else you just want to share to folks checking us out or anything else.
Yeah. We are, let me think. That's a great question. How can people see the movie? Yeah. Oh, how can people see the movie? So we obviously are part of this festival. We screened earlier this week. We're also on EOFlix. We also have other festivals coming up down the line. So feel free to follow us at Lone Mountain Short Film on Instagram, where you can see all the things that we're up to and where we're going. And we're just, we're just excited for everyone to see this and to hopefully just have a really meditative, lovely experience looking at some just gosh dang pretty footage from northern Montana.
And it's kind of a sci-fi type meditative feel in the mountains, which is so cool. Yep. Awesome experience. Yep. Well, thank you again so much for your time today. We look forward to future elements and entries. And again, thanks again. Till the next one, everyone. Stay tuned.